week 14 of my 18-week Summer with Lisa Kleypas challenge, and we are on book 3 of the Ravenelle series with many people's favorites and one of mine, Devil in Spring. Hi, I'm Bea, and welcome to my channel, Mama Needs to Read Romance, because nobody in this book has a sassy 2-year-old that tells me that I'm not helping when I try to correct her. Okay, here we go. Devil in Spring. Let's just go ahead and start looking at this step back. My heavens, who do we have here? We have Pandora and we have Gabriel. And who is Gabriel? He is the son of Sebastian Lord St. Vincent, who now has a new title, I believe, and Evie, who have been married for 30 years after they first got together in the Wallflowers series. Many of you know that one well, Devil in Winter. But now, of course, we are Devil in Spring. Pandora, who is one of the feisty, hilarious gals. She's a Ravenelle. She's got more spirit than you can shake a stick at. And one of my favorite things about her are the words that she makes up when she feels like regular words do not apply to something she's thinking or feeling. She is the coolest. If I remember correctly, she's actually creating a board game. And I mean, just how inventive is that? I read this book years ago, but it really sticks out to me. Many scenes in this book are some of my favorite scenes in historical romance ever. It's humorous, it's heartwarming. And when I first read this book, I had no idea who the Wallflowers even were. And I remember being so confused because they were talking about an older couple a bunch of times. And I'm like, why are they, why are we talking about these two? It's so weird. But now, coming back through this after knowing the Wallflowers very well, give me more Sebastian and Evie, really. I mean, I'm here for it. So I'm just beyond excited to start this book this week. When I was deciding to do this series, I mean, this was one of my favorites. And along with that one, I've told you that 5 million times already. But yeah, I'm going to read this book this week while I'm decorating for September in my house. That's right, I do apple decorating in my house. Man, you might as well know. It's a weird thing about me. I love apples in September. Apple picking, all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm going to be doing that. And there are going to be spoilers starting now. So do keep that in mind, but I'll be checking back in with you. I'm also going to let you know what I believe to be the love theme for Pandora and Gabriel. And at the end, I will also give this book a rating. So let's do it. I can't wait. I just finished chapter 3. This book is already so good. Now, Pandora, before I get into anything, I think Pandora has some sort of an inner ear issue. She doesn't like to talk about it, but she doesn't like dancing or going to dances because she gets really dizzy. Her equilibrium gets thrown off with certain motions, and so like waltzing is really dangerous for her. She hates going to balls and dances and soirees and all of that, but she's just started her first season, and so she's going to be going to like 50 balls, and she's very unhappy about it. So when one of her friends asks her to go retrieve an earring somewhere else out of the ballroom, Pandora is only too happy to go. She winds up though getting stuck in a settee because of all the wood in the back of the settee, and she is really stuck until a stranger comes upon her and tries to help her out. They've got some really choice words back and forth. It's pretty hilarious, where she refers to the wood as swirligigs as he talks about them in terms of what they actually are. And he goes, wait, what did you say? And she's like, oh, you know, she makes up words. So it's just so funny. Well, they're there so long that unfortunately it looks like she's compromised. And Lord Chatwith, who is the one holding the ball, he said that she is going to have to marry Gabriel. Oh, that's the name of the stranger. Gabriel, Lord St. Vincent. He is the son of Evie and Sebastian. And Sebastian and Evie get quite a bit of time in the prologue. Gabriel is lamenting the fact that he's going to have to marry Pandora to his father at Jenner's. Gabriel is now the proprietor of Jenner's now that Sebastian has stepped away because he's an earl now. So he's out in Sussex most of the time. But he does come to London frequently, and he knows all that's going on. And he's heard about the scandal going on between Pandora and Gabriel. And so he says, look, I have an idea. Why don't I just pay somebody because I've got so much money and there's so many families that are in financial straits. I'll say, hey, why don't you marry her? And Gabriel's like, ooh, that's very tempting. But kind of wants her for himself, he's realizing quickly. Now, let me back up just a little bit here. He goes to the home of the Trinias in London to talk to Devon because he's going to ask for Pandora's hand. Well, Pandora's already said, look, I don't want to marry you. She actually goes, hey, you. And he's like, how is she talking to me like that? He actually gave Devon his card and said, look for me after you think about whether or not you want to go forward with this marriage. And Pandora rips it up. He produces another card and she goes to snatch it and he uses sleight of hand like magic to make it disappear in his hand. And I thought, oh, this couple's gonna be perfect together. With her board games, which are Winterborn, it's patented thanks to Winterboard, and she's got 500 copies that are gonna be coming out. She is going to be rich beyond her wildest dreams, which is why she has no interest in getting married. She wants to be a businesswoman, which of course Lady Barrick is very unhappy about. So anyway, Pandora and Gabriel they've got some crazy chemistry going on, and this is turning out to be so much fun already. But I will tell you one other kind of scandalous part of this. Gabriel has a long-time affair, 2-year affair with a woman who's the American ambassador's wife. Her husband was a Union officer in the Civil War and he was injured, so he is not able to make love to his wife. So Gabriel's only too willing to fill that void, especially because this woman is different and he has some different type of appetites apparently, and she's willing to do whatever his little heart desires. And Gabriel feels like he must be pretty scandalous, I guess, and I think he feels a little bit badly about that. But Sebastian's like, look, there's nothing that you want or do that hasn't been done before. You're not that unique. And Sebastian can certainly attest to that, I'm sure. But yeah, oh my gosh, all the scenes with Sebastian and Evie are just so sweet. They still have so much chemistry after 30 years, and it's so great to see them together. I just love it so much. So yeah, I'm having so much fun with this book and can't wait to start chapter 4 in just a moment. Chapter 7, but I know I should wait a minute. I love that chapter so much. So Gabriel and Pandora both have a conversation with someone they trust who helps them decide to meet together at Heron's Point, which is Sebastian's giant estate and I guess a town as well. So Pandora talks to Devon. Devon says, look, you need to figure out if this guy is for you because we at least need to give this a chance. But if you don't want to marry him, that's fine. Gabriel's invited our entire family to join them at Heron's Point. Pandora is reluctant, but agrees to go. This was the idea of Sebastian talking to Gabriel. By the way, speaking of wallflowers, meeting the Ravenels, who, by the way, was there when Pandora was supposedly compromised? Marcus, the Earl of Westcliff, who was, of course, as always, the voice of reason. I know he would not have ratted Gabriel out, but of course Lord Chatwith did. So unfortunately, everybody knew. So Pandora takes the long train ride through the gorgeous landscape to Heron's Point. She sees someone rugged and handsome walking across the front lawn with his nephew on his shoulders, who is Phoebe's son, who we know quite well from Devil's Daughter, coming up in a couple weeks, as well as Ivo, who is Gabriel's much younger brother. That's right, it's Gabriel who's walking across the lawn. He looks so different because he's not in his dress outfit. Dress outfit. But anyway, he looks so good. He's got amber hair that's catching the sun. It's very thick. He's got sky blue piercing eyes, and Pandora is noticing already that her heart is just skipping a beat as she's looking at him. And she has some really cute interactions with Evie and Sebastian before Gabriel decides to take half of the family to the bluff. Is it the bluff? It's like their little beach. She's never seen real sand before, so she's really excited. Here we are at chapter 7. And everyone's gone on ahead. It's just the two of them still in the Holloway, which is like this sunken road. He's talking to her and he's sort of teasing and flirting with her, and she is talking about all of her flaws. She's getting really flustered. He holds her close, and because she has an impulse control issue, she kisses him, and I don't know what that part is called. It's like the middle of the clavicle. It's like that soft part. And this was one of the scenes that I remembered because it's so disarming for him and it's so intimate and steamy and yet so simple and sweet and small of a gesture, but it's everything. I loved it. And then after a little bit more talking and coaxing, he says that he would kiss her. And what starts as this really tentative, adorable thing where he even says, let's rub noses, because that's what some cultures do. Somebody's waking up from her nap. Okay, I have to hurry. What was I gonna say? It gets really good. The kissing, she loses it. And she's all over him until Phoebe comes and she's like, ugh. So cute. Phoebe and Gabriel have a great relationship. Phoebe, whose husband has already passed away by this point, so she will be single for her book, Devil's Daughter. That's terrible. I'm sorry. Her husband was very sweet, but he passed away. That's what I should say. Okay, my daughter's awake. I gotta go. Let's have a little more from my walk. It's been so nice to actually take a walk. I finally feel better after COVID. It's like, yes. Anyway, all right, I'm going. See you in a bit. Chapters 8 through 10, I got to listen at the gym, believe it or not, while my little one did her first hour ever of preschool, which she went into kicking and screaming while the other kids acted like little turtles going in. She was quite feisty, but apparently it went well. It was 1 hour and I went straight to the gym for the first time in like 3 years, and it was lovely. And I listened to chapters 8 through 10. I'm getting back to my point now. Okay, so there's some beautiful scenes in the water and the beach. Oh my gosh. Pandora leaning against Gabriel while he is sort of just comforting her, telling her he has her. She couldn't hear though when he tried to talk in her bad ear. So he might be figuring out that she can't hear as well in one ear, which will be interesting. The big part of this is him trying to win her over. She has told him in no uncertain terms she wants to be an independent woman. She wants to be a woman of her own means. She wants to be in business. And he said, I could provide for you. I could give you safety and security. And she's like, yeah, but I'd have to give up my freedom. So he doesn't really know what to make of her, honestly. And he's also wondering, ultimately, given her personality, if she would do well hosting balls and attending charity events and talking up people, because she doesn't seem to have the personality that really lends itself to that sort of lifestyle. So he really is worried, but he cannot help himself. He is so drawn to her and he just finds himself wanting to win her over. The only other really big thing that happened in here is they're playing a game of whist, and he doesn't do very well in the first 2 games. So they decide to have a bargain, or I guess, what did they call that? Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, so they say if she wins, that he's going to sing at the top of his lungs, God Save the Queen in the foyer. If he wins, she's going to meet him alone at midnight, I guess in the same foyer. So she's told him in no uncertain terms she never wants to be intimate with a man. She finds it disgusting. And, just anything that he's saying, she's very much like, no, I'm not interested in this, that, and the other. She's making it very hard for him to win her, but the man seems to enjoy a challenge. So I have a feeling chapter 11 is going to be extremely interesting. Chapters 11 through 14. Could there be more going on in these chapters? There's only 3, but it's huge. Pandora goes to meet Gabriel in the middle of the night, and her equilibrium is way off because of her ear, and she falls after her candle goes out, and Gabriel, of course, comes to the rescue, and he's very sweet. They talk a little bit about her ear in the middle of the night, nice and cozy. The 2 of them snuggle together. But it's not as sweet because the reason her ear is all messed up is because she was eavesdropping on her parents one day when they were arguing, And her dad comes out furious and boxes her ears, and her left ear is bleeding. It becomes infected. She gets a fever. And so her ear's never been the same. It's a mess. I mean, she can't hear very well out of it. Obviously, her inner ear is all messed up, and her mom would just blame her for things like if she fell, like, you're just clumsy. Never willing to believe that it had anything to do with the ear. So it was just very sad. And Gabriel was furious hearing about this because he's so protective. Of course, it wouldn't be a romance novel without some very passionate scenes going on in the library in the middle of the night. He shows her some lovin'. I always say stuff like that. I don't know what else to say, but I'm trying to keep this like PG. I encourage you, if you want to know more, read yourself. Chapter 11, 12, something like that. Yeah, 13, I think, maybe even 14. Anyway, so yeah, good stuff, good stuff. He also decides to have her waltz, and she's furious with him. She's very unhappy. He actually kept part of her slipper that fell off during the night and said she's not going to get it back unless she does meet up with him and waltz. And she's so furious at first because she feels like he's just mocking her. And he has Phoebe play the piano, but he shows her how she can do it and be okay. And he's talking that he said, nobody's going to hurt you while I'm around. And of course, I'm like, oh my gosh, the craziest song just jumped into my mind as the song for Gabriel and Pandora, which is, this is so random, Not While I'm Around from Sweeney Todd, of all of the musicals. If you know Sweeney Todd at all, it does not lend itself well to a romance novel in my mind. But I thought this song was beautiful. And I love that because Pandora's so independent. She wants to be her own woman. She's afraid to let go. And she needs a man who is going to respect her and protect her. And Gabriel has that balance of both. You know, it reminds me, I was complaining a few weeks ago about Christopher in Love in the Afternoon and how he was always very adamant that he was going to be the leader. He was in charge. He was going to tell Beatrix how things were done. But then here we are. Now we've jumped ahead 20 years. I don't know if things have changed partly because of that, but Gabriel is absolutely willing to even say to Pandora, when she finally does agree to marry him, by the way, right after the waltz, and he's so excited, but she says, I'm not going to say I'm going to obey you in the vows. And he goes, well, then you're going to have to come up with something else. And she says, fondle you? He goes, that could work. What? Anyway, so they are going to get married, which is very exciting. And she doesn't even want to have a honeymoon because she just wants to work on her board games. So that's kind of crazy, but really good couple chapters. And I'm really looking forward to the wedding and everything after. We've gotten 2.5 weeks into school and we already have a sick kiddo, unfortunately.
I don't have one.
I thought he was going to disagree with that. He's feeling better. He's feeling better. Okay, so we have a beautiful honeymoon. Gabriel is oh my gosh, he actually spoke to the head of the church and paid an exorbitant amount of money to get the part obey from the ceremony scratched out. He understands Pandora so well, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to make her happy. This guy doesn't have a stitch of pride either, because she was saying things like, I don't want to have a long honeymoon and I would be bored. And some of these things that I think a lot of guys would get sort of upset by. He didn't get upset at all. You know, he was just so willing to accept anything she said or did. It was just so dear. And then they have a lovely honeymoon, and you can imagine what I mean when I say that. It's just beautiful seeing the two of them together. It's lovely. And he talks about how it's so different with her than it is with Nola, who was that was the first name of the woman that he had an affair with for 2 years. But they're just so happy, and now they're back in London. She's getting accustomed to his staff. She was worried about it, and immediately he just puts all of her fears at ease, which is great. And then he introduces her to basically her bodyguard. His name is Drago. He's from the club, Jenner's, and now he's going to be like her guy that's just sort of taking care of her. Gabriel's talking about how she loses things and she forgets what time it is and all this stuff. And he goes, am I a nanny or a bodyguard? They develop a fast friendship though. And yes, she refers to him as Dragon. And he takes her one day to a printing press so that she can start getting everything underway for her board game. Pandora witnesses an exchange between two people, one who's visiting the printing press and one who works there. And it was very disconcerting. Like, the woman that worked there was trying to shuffle Pandora out as quickly as possible. And there was definitely alarm on her face. And Drago went back in to see what he could see because he figured something was up. And he found a lot of... My friend is kicking my
I'm
phone.
sorry.
Oh, thanks. He found a lot of elements that can be used to make a bomb. So, we're gonna see what happens next. I'm outside the library right now, and I just had the best time at a book sale. This is the library book sale. Now, a lot of these are kids' books, but these are all romance novels. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. My next book haul. It's gonna be amazing. All right, let's talk chapters 18 through 21. So Gabriel and Pandora are making love. It's very steamy, very hot, very good. He then talks about, like, he's having her wear her corset, and he's thinking about how he likes to have certain things that a lot of people may not like. And he decides to tie up her wrists without asking her, and they're behind her back. And the first time I read this, I was so uncomfortable and worried because he didn't clear it with her. He just sort of did it and then, like, waited to see how she'd feel about it. And she seemed fine with it. For me, I was a little uncomfortable because I was just sort of worried. But I'm glad that they found common interests. What else can we say? Yeah, but anyway, fast forwarding, they go to a play. Nola Black, I believe that's her name, the ex, Gabriel's ex, who's married to someone else, is there. She's shooting daggers at Pandora. After the play, Nola actually pulls Pandora aside, despite the fact that Gabriel, during the play, during intermission, I should say, gave a very public display of his love for her by taking off her glove and kissing her hand. And it was like, oh my gosh, he loves his wife. Just to sort of throw Nola off. Did not work, because as he and Winterbourne step aside to go look for something, I don't remember what they're looking at, Nola goes up to Pandora and she's so mean. She's talking about how he got together with me since he's been with you. He was talking about how boring you are. He's gonna lose interest in you and just send you out to a house in the country somewhere. And Pandora's like, well, he knows I'm weird and he seems to like it. Like, she just sort of felt badly for Nola, did not react the way Nola was expecting. But then she sees Mrs. O'Clore, who was the woman from the printing press, and she approaches Pandora. She looks really apologetic. Mrs. O'Clore stabs Pandora. They've had Drago and Ethan Ransom looking into what's going on. It turns out it's like the Irish resistance was actually making bombs, and Pandora came upon it. They had to dispatch her, I suppose, they thought. So she tried to kill Pandora. Thank goodness the guys get her to Dr. Garrett Gibson. Now, of course, Gabriel's nervous because this is a woman. He doesn't know. I mean, I get it. If you've never experienced that before and it's a different time, he does eventually let her perform the surgery because there's no other choice. But yeah, we're kind of there right now. I mean, we're just wondering what's going to happen to Pandora because it doesn't look good. So hopefully Dr. Gibson can pull through. But she also sees Ethan Ransom for the first time since he saved the day, I guess last book, when Helen and Dr. Gibson were going to go save Karis, the orphaned half-sister of Helen. So Dr. Gibson and Ethan Ransom have met before, one time, and now they're meeting again. She wants to help fix him up. And I just got goosebumps when they looked at each other. I'm so excited about the next book. I can't even tell you. So anyway, I know we're mostly worried about Pandora now. That's how we're supposed to feel. Looking forward to more. This is the next segment's gonna be the last one. Wow. I just finished the book and I did one of those swoony sighs at the end, and I think I scared several teenagers. It was so funny. There's more action in here than you can shake a stick at. It's bananas. So Pandora and Gabriel start out fighting in like chapter 22 because he is trying to keep her board game from being published so early because she's still recovering. He's having a lot of stress, and Dr. Gibson writes a prescription for like kisses to give to the husband to make him feel better. Thankfully, Evie and Sebastian come to make him feel much better. It's so good to see them. I just love it. Nothing works better than Pandora finally feeling better weeks later and seducing her husband. They have a lovely lovemaking scene. Another day, Ethan Ransom comes to talk to her. Apparently, Mrs. O'Core has died. They said it was suicide, but nobody's checking. Ethan Ransom, who's a detective, he believes that somebody in the police department is behind these bombings and things. There's this sect of the police department that doesn't want Ireland to be a part of them. I believe I'm getting this right. And so they're going to perpetrate a crime, probably a bombing, and they're gonna say it was the Irish that did it to cause a bunch of trouble. So how does Ethan know this? Well, the piece of paper that Pandora found on the floor that day that she was in the printing building and she was talking to Mrs. O'Core because she dropped the paper, it wasn't just some random bunch of letters. It was a key, like a code for decoding secret messages. So Ethan was able to detect or decode a message from somebody within the police department that they were going to bomb an upcoming event, a ball. So against Gabriel's initial wishes, they go to this ball. Why does Pandora need to go? Because she's the only one alive, now that Mrs. O'Core is dead, who could identify the gentleman that Mrs. O'Core was talking to who knows about the bomb. So Pandora needs to go. She goes with Gabriel, of course. Ethan's there, looking gorgeous, of course. I cannot wait for the next book. And Dragon. And Pandora notices people keep tripping over part of the floor. Well, Drago pulls up the floor and there's bombs underneath the floor. So somebody sees it and they yell, "Bomb!" Well, Gabriel went behind a dais where Pandora saw that gentleman that she had initially seen in the printing building. And the guy had like one of those, I don't know words, the thing that starts the bomb. It's got the big handle, you push it down and it starts the bombs. Okay, now I'm walking. I'm a big chicken and somebody who was fishing just came up behind me. I had to stop. I'm sorry, I'm such a chicken. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the lake. It's gone now. Okay, so Ethan goes to find the guy that Pandora recognized. Ethan recognizes him too from the police department. Before he can get to the gentleman though, the guy bites on some cyanide capsules and dies. So now Ethan is aware this goes deep into the police department. So this is far from over for Ethan, even though the book is about done. Pandora and Gabriel, they are safe, they are happy. We can jump to the epilogue where Dr. Gibson is going to help Pandora with her ear. How cool! Now she's gonna be able to hear better. She's not gonna have her equilibrium knocked out all the time. It's gonna be amazing. And then they close in the department store in December. Her board game has already sold out 500 copies. She wants to make more. Of course, Winterborn does too. He cannot stand not having enough copies of something that's in such high demand. Pandora even wants to do children's books, and their love for one another and their just happiness about everything overcomes them. And they wind up making out in the middle of a department store. And it's so good. Oh, this was so much fun. 5 stars. And in case you missed it, the song is, I know it's weird, Sweeney Todd, No One's Gonna Harm You, Not While I'm Around. And I just think it's perfect, even though that musical is bizarre. And I think that song is technically sort of sinister. Anyway, okay, next week. I cannot wait. I just can't. Hello Stranger, Dr. Garrett Gibson, Ethan Ransom, together. Oh my gosh, do we have to wait a whole week? Oh, I can't wait. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying whatever it is that you're reading, even if it's not going to be Hello Stranger, which, why wouldn't it be? This is my favorite. Anyway, okay, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Until next time, thank you so much. Take care. Bye.